Hey, Grand Ascension. It's me, baby girl Slaughter, better known as Niecy Denise, back to do another video. I want to talk to you about, let me scoot this back, this, our spine. And hopefully you can get it all in the video here. So I want to talk to you about what our body encompasses as, quote unquote, for this video, I'm going to say human. And I want to talk to you about our the most sacred and precious gift of all that each individual has, and they probably don't even know what it is, or they're very unaware of this. So I got this little column here to show you in no uncertain terms the different areas or different parts of your body and what they encompass. Okay, so I want to read to you from Harry B. Joseph's The Book of Wisdom, and I'm also going to be reading from The Science of Sacred Secretion. Okay, and that's by Kelly Marie Kerr. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to show this, okay, as much as I can on camera. Let's scoot this back. So what I want to talk to you about is the CSF, or the cerebral spinal fluid. It is, there's 24 hours in a day, so they say, 24 hours a day, and 4 times a day, these particular nodules refill. Okay, and it takes about 15 minutes for each little node, for each little area here, 15 minutes per area, and it refills 4 times a day. 4 times 6 is 24, and it takes 15 minutes for each one of these little vertebrae to fill. And so we have a total of 33 vertebrae. Okay, that is why when we talk about Jesus Christ, or Christ Yeshua, dying at 33, that's what this represents, our vertebra. And it also represents what I'm going to talk to you about now. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to talk to you about the spinal column and the symbolism behind this depiction here. The Masonic temple, the Masonic organization or order, uses a staircase with the checkerboard floor. The Asians also depict a spinal column, just like this here, and a building at the top. Then, of course, this is the actual spine that you see. Okay, we understand this symbolism. And then we have the Egyptian also version of what this is depicting, which is Jacob's ladder. The spinal column serves as a stairway of consciousness, linking our awareness to the various states of consciousness necessary for functioning in the world. It acts as a central pathway, allowing us to navigate between different levels of being, from the most basic survival instincts to the higher realms of thought and spirituality. At the base of the spinal column down here, we access the survival states of consciousness, which are concerned with fundamental needs like reproduction, food, and physical safety. These lower states, tied to the material and physical self, are crucial for navigating the practical earthly aspects of life. All right. As we move upward along the spinal column, we encounter each level takes you to higher levels of consciousness associated with learning and communication and emotional awareness. One thing you want to know is the bottom, or the lower aspect of your spinal column, is considered to be the heel, or the hell, or the material or matter form. At the top, up the very top, where your crown or where your head sits, right, right here, this would be considered heaven, higher states of consciousness. It goes by several different names, but you always want to know that this is the upper room, which is your crown or your head. We talked about the temples a couple of days ago, all right? And we talked about our bodies being the temple, and I'm illustrating to you what the sacred secretion represents. The sacred secretion is the CSF fluid, the cerebral spinal fluid, that runs from the base of the body all the way up to the base of the brain, and it lubricates the body, all right? And that's the chrism, that's the manna, that's the Christ oil, that's nirvana. It goes by many different names, right? The land of milk and honey, the manna, the gold. It has so many different names for different cultures. So it says, As we move upward along the spinal column, we encounter higher levels of consciousness associated with learning, communication, and emotional awareness. These states are linked to intellectual growth and more refined mental processes, allowing us to engage with the world through reasoning, creativity, and interactions with others. At the up here, uppermost regions of the spinal column, we connect to the highest states of consciousness, though those tied to spirituality, intuition, and divine awareness. Okay. Here we transcend the purely physical aspects of existence and access the spiritual dimensions of our being. So this is up here, closer to the base of the skull. Okay. In the sense, the latter is the spiritual symbolism represents the journey from the lower mind, the lower aspect, the material form, all the way up to the spiritual aspects, or the God consciousness, or the Christ. Okay. And it says, it is in spiritual symbolism represents the journey from the lower mind associated with the physical self and material concerns to the higher mind, which is connected to the non-physical spiritual self. All right. This ascent reflects the path from physical man to spiritual man, bridging the gap between the earthly existence and the spiritual enlightenment. Now, Jacob's ladder in Genesis 28:12. Jacob's dream of a ladder reaching from the heaven, okay, with angels ascending and descending upon it, carrying profound symbolic meaning, particularly when viewed through the lens of human anatomy and spiritual consciousness. When he said, I saw God face to face, he was talking about the Christ are becoming as one with consciousness, and hemisyncing the brain, the left and right brain. It is symbolic to state that once you learn how to utilize the gift that we have all been bestowed, you can become Christed, and it will open up different neural pathways within your brain that's been dormant since you came into these avatar bodies, right? The whole goal is for us to learn how to manipulate the energy and do the breath work in order for us to reach higher stage of consciousness. The issue is most people are not taught these things, and more importantly, our cultures have us looking outwardly instead of doing the inner work, right? Because we know the kingdom of heaven is within us, and we spend 99.9% of our time living outwardly and not going within, right? So we squander the gift that was given to us at birth, at conception, right? So it says, it carries a profound symbolic meaning, particularly when viewed through the lens of human anatomy and spiritual consciousness. The ground or which Jacob was lying represents the lower states of consciousness, okay? The realms where individuals are primarily aware of their physical existence, where you use your five senses, you're in the material, the matter form, right? This ground symbolizes the material plane, often associated with the carnal mind, where one's focus is centered on the external reality and matter and sensory experiences with little awareness of the spiritual essence within. In this state, the individual is largely, sorry about that, disconnected from their inner divine nature, living in a state governed by the limitations of the physical body and the mind. The ladder of Jacob's dream can be seen as a metaphor for the spinal column, all right, which many esoteric and spiritual traditions regard as the central channel through which life energy and consciousness ascend and descend. So when you are born into these bodies, or when we're in our mother's womb, we get quickened at so many weeks. I believe it's at 12 weeks. It's either 12 weeks, it's between 6 to 12 weeks when you hear the heartbeat. I can't remember when, but that's when the quickening happens. The firing happens in the neurons, and then the energy comes into the body, right? Well, the way you transcend, or the way you come in, is the way you exit. The energy comes in, okay, through the body. The heart is a valve, okay. It's a chamber that pumps, right? And so you have the energy that flows through the heart, which I said we're electromagnetic beings, and we are. If you stop breathing, what are they going to do? You drop. They're going to check your pulse. They're going to start chest compressions, and they're going to go get an AED. If you're at work or in the office, they're going to go get an AED. They're going to open up your shirt, your blouse, whatever. They're going to put these nodes in your chest. They're going to say clear. They're going to charge the machine. They're going to shock you because they're trying to restart the rhythm of the electricity that's in your body. I believe every body runs at 7.8 hertz or something like that. So, you weigh less when you pass because the energy leaves the body. The spirit leaves the body. The energy, the spirit, the consciousness leaves the body. All right. And you weigh less when you pass because the energy is no longer in the building. Right. So, what we need to understand, basic thing that I want you to take away from this is that the base of your spine is considered to be hell. Your heel to the earth, it's hell. The top of the part of your spine here, which is the base of the skull, is considered this part is considered to be heaven, the upper room. All right. So then it says, when we read this in scripture, it says Jacob's ladder's dream can be seen as a metaphor for the spiritual column, which many esoteric and spiritual traditions regard as the central channel through which life and consciousness ascend and descend. So you got to remember, this is our life force, right? And our gift, we need to learn how to understand what our body does as an alchemical process, and then learn to feed it and give it what it needs so that we can become in that higher states or reach that higher states of consciousness. Everything plays a factor. Food, water, frequencies, the stuff you put on your body, the stuff they're spraying in the skies, the things you take in with your eyes, like TV, the music that you listen to, the energy of people around you. That plays a factor in this Christ oil. That plays a factor in whether you're in a high vibrational state or a low vibrational state. All right. So it says, as Jacob dreams, the angels ascending and descending from the brain can be understood as commands of the mind, the higher faculties of the consciousness often interpreted as God, which direct control the functions of the body. These descending impulses are what keep the body system in harmony, managing movement, bodily functions, and actions. Conversely, the ascending angels represent the nervous system feeding loop with sensory information from the body, such as touch, temperature, pain, and other stimuli is transmitted upward, is transmitted upward to the brain. All right. Sorry, let me move my thing, which transmitted upward to the brain. And it says the descending impulses of the body system in harmony, managing movements, bodily functions, and actions. Conversely, the ascending angels represent the nervous system feedback loop with sensory information from the body, such as touch, temperature, pain, and other stimuli is transmitted upwards to the brain up here. The constant exchange of information between the brain and the body reflects the dynamic interaction between the physical and the spiritual realms. The angels in the context act as a divine messengers, which photon, all right, divine messengers of light, okay, ensuring the flow of communication between the two realms. There are vital forces that report the body's condition back to the higher mind, allowing for balance and coordination between the physical action and the higher consciousness. The process can be seen as God's work orchestrating the intricate functions of the body and mind through a harmonious flow of energy. The energy is the God spark. We are God's incarnate. All right. God manifested itself through us, and we are having an experience. I mean, we are the original Bluetooth. I'm just going to tell you the wireless experience. All right. Because we are all truly one interconnected organism, but we don't realize that we are because we're in these bodies and we're being fooled by the material realm. And these entities that run this so-called quote unquote matrix know this. All right. So it says this last part. From a spiritual perspective, this vision of the ladder can be understood as an allegory for a spiritual awakening. All right. The journey begins in a state of material consciousness, but through inner growth and self-awareness, one ascends a ladder toward the divine enlightenment. In this interpretation, the spinal column is revered as a sacred structure, which it is, connecting the earthly physical self with the higher spiritual dimensions. The latter thus represents the individual's potential to raise beyond the limitations of the physical world, merging body, mind, and spirit into a journey toward the divine. As the Lord stands at the top of the ladder right here, the Lord stands here because we are the Lord. We are God, right? At the top of the ladder in Jacob's vision, this suggests that the ultimate goal is to reach a state of union with the divine. And that's what we need to get back to. We're not in our divine state. We're not walking in our true essence. I hope that makes sense. Where one transcends physical existence and embraces their true spiritual nature. All right. So I was reading from Harry B. Joseph, Book of Wisdom, Volume 2. And this part that I want to read, I'm going to go to Kelly Marie Kerr's The Science of Sacred Secretion, or the Sacred Secretion. All right. And I just want to talk to you about one in particular part, and then I'm going to jump off here. The timing and quality of the monthly influx when the moon enters the zodiac sign. So you must understand that there is a seed that's inside of us that drops once a month. It drops and it goes down here. And it says this perpetual sacred secretion cycle occurs at the temple of the body at the top right here. And the innermost alchemical process causes degeneration or regeneration physically, mentally, and spiritually, depending on your vibration and your choices. Due to what's known as the monthly cranial respiration cycle, this cycle is governed by your fluidic, your lunar body, which cycles coinciding with the moon. Once every 29.53 days, when the moon enters the zodiacal constellation that you were born under, and for approximately 3 to 5 days thereafter, there is an opportunity to preserve and raise your sacred secretion for a super conscious awakening. At that point, at this appointed monthly time, you receive an astral influx or stellar star, planetary and lunar energy that is specific to your atomic self. This astral influx of bespoke cosmic energy is essentially light in the form of photons, electromagnetic energy. That's why they have the 5G towers, which is a military grade weapon. It's not for the betterment of cell phones and for technology. It's to keep us at a lower state of vibration so we won't reach our true potential. It says, in the form of photon or electromagnetic energy, its quality differs for each zodiacal sign due to the atomic variable and potencies of the stars and planets in or near each constellation. All right. It is a differentiation between the energy that create the wonderful characteristics, talents, and interests and idiosyncrasies of each individual self. The astral influx is known as the solar seeds in occultism and the solar wind in modern science. All right. Scientifically speaking, the Earth's magnetosphere deflects the solar wind, a supersonic stream of charged particles, towards Earth. This is why they spray the skies, because they don't want us to get that energy from the sun and from the solar winds and from the moon. They don't want us to get that, right? They want to keep us in a lower state of vibration. That's hence they have the happy sauce injections, the black goo, the nanoparticles that everybody's breathing in and drinking in the water, in the sodas, in the juices, in the food, in the animals that we consume. And it's to keep us at a lower state of vibration. Do you understand the gift that each one of us possesses? That is a powerful thing. It is sacred. And we were not taught this at birth. And this is why you have to study and you have to realize what you encompass on the inside of you. It's not enough for you just to go into these places of worship. You really need to understand the alchemical process that your body goes through. I'm just saying, and I'm saying it in love. And I'm only talking to a select group of people because there's only going to be a certain few people that understand what I'm saying. So this last part, I'm going to say this. All right. The solar wind is a plasma that consists of charged atoms originally formed by photons. Under a microscope, it can be seen that the photon-like particles have the form of what's known as the seed of life in sacred geometry. The seed of life is made up of even interlocking circles, also known as the Genesis pattern, and coincides with the cross-section of DNA. The size of the moon, crescent to full, affects the concentration of the astral influx also. You receive your unique astral influx monthly via the Earth's satellite, the moon, which acts as a giant reflector for cosmic rays to reach you. Do you understand why they're spraying the things that they're doing? It's to keep us from connecting to source, to receive our divine messages, our God-given, sentient, born birthrights. All right? You got to really understand this stuff. You got to understand that there's a nefarious agenda going on, and you really got to see it for what it is. It's in your DNA. You just have to tap into what you already know. I'm speaking to you, but you already know this information that I'm telling you. It's within you. You just need to tap into that which you have access to, right? So then this last part, the reason the opportunity for super conscious awakening happens monthly is due to the moon's orbiting reaction with the magnetic crystals in your brain. We have millions of magnetite crystals that resonate at a frequency. And see, most people don't even know that. Diet plays a factor. Exercise, what you take in, plays a factor in the level of fluid here in the body that circulates throughout the body, and whether or not the energy can be controlled and manipulated and worked back up. Okay. I'm just telling you, fasting is a thing, and it's a real thing. Eating fruits and vegetables, letting go of the meat. You cannot ascend if you eat meat. I am so sorry. For those of you who like a big, juicy, bloody steak, if you want to be Christed and you want to reach higher states of consciousness, what people say heaven, and it's not about you dying and then going on to some great pearly gates in the sky. You have to obtain this before you die. I have always said in my Facebook posts and even videos back from 5-6 years ago, if you die before you die, you will never die. And for you to not die and live truly within your true sentient purpose, you must die to this world. You must become dead to this world. You must let go of things that you hold dear and sacred, because you've got to unattach yourself from these material things in order for you to become what you truly are meant to be and what you've always been, but you've forgotten who you are and what you possess. I hope this makes sense. So it says, when the moon travels through the same position that it was in the time your birth, the astral influx contains the same influences or energies that were presented to you and installed into you from or by God or source at the time of birth. You were given this at the time of birth. Your individual astral influx is total bespoke and depends on your birth time, place, and day. So when the moon traverses through your specific zodiacal sign each month, you receive an injection of life, a quickening. All right. Most people don't even know that. I'm just telling you. Totally custom to you, not to your brother, not to your mother, not to your sister, your daddy, your uncles, your cousins, your husband, your kids. It's specifically to you. Totally custom to you. If you follow and embody the teachings of enlightenment, the injection of bespoke, the astral influx can optimize your abilities and flush all of your systems and help you know yourself more clearly, and you become divine. When you see pictures of Christ with this crown around his head and this light coming off of him, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the energy that flows through the base of the spine all the way up to your pituitary, through your pituitary gland and to your pineal gland, opens up your third eye. Your magnetite crystals within your brain resonates. Your brain starts firing off in different colors because the areas that you do not go to because it's a vestige is dormant. That's why they say you only use 10% of your brain. Well, the other 90% is neural pathways that haven't been ignited since you came into this body, and it'll be ignited when you leave because you get flashes of light. I'm just simply telling you, we are energy beings. We're divine and wonderfully made. And the majority of people walk around here squandering their gift. We're going to talk about seed retention. We're going to talk about not having orgasms. We're going to talk about calculating your sacred seed. We're going to get into all this stuff. But you need to understand the most basic thing. And the most basic thing I can tell you is diet, water, everything, exercise, the frequencies, the people you surround yourself with. This is the tree of good and evil. This is the tree of knowledge. This is who you are. You are individually and wonderfully created and made. And most people don't even understand that. Like I said, this recycles 4 times a day. There's 6 times 4 is 24 hours, takes 15 minutes. We have 33 vertebrae. Jesus died at 33. I'm trying to tell you, there's symbolism and there's esoteric knowledge behind every single thing. Also, this plays a factor in your diet, the cell salts. I know I've covered this before, but I feel like I need to cover it again. The zodiacal signs, the cell salts, plays a factor of when you were born and what you may be deficient in. That's why I tell you, you've really got to read and you've really got to study and you really got to understand what we possess and who we are. The last part that I want to say before we get off of here, everything is symbolism and is hidden in plain sight. So I would highly recommend you all to grab a copy of Harry B. Joseph's book. He is not the only one that's talked about this, but I'm just bringing this to attention again. So for the final wrap up of this video, the top of the head is the crown chakra. This is the third eye chakra. This is the throat chakra. This is the heart chakra. This would be the solar plexus here. The sacral chakra, and then the root chakra is at the very bottom down here, the sexual organs. This would be considered the root chakra. So you have all of these energy centers or energy points within your body, and each specific energy point you have to work through. And I'm saying it in a spiritual a spiritual way as well as a physical way, because you could have blockages in these areas, and then you won't have they won't be resonating like they're supposed to, because each individual energy point adds up to 144,000. That's why they say 144,000 will only go to heaven. And it's because literally, if you are out of alignment and your energy centers are blocked, and you're not firing on all, for lack of better word, cylinders, then no, you're not going to resonate at 144,000. You're going to resonate at a lower vibration. So therefore, you will not become entangled. You won't have the nirvana. You won't have the chrism of the Christ oil experience. Okay. Higher states of consciousness, decalcifying your pineal gland and taking care of what you have in you. Okay. Because literally it's a point of you knowing these things and getting back to where you need to be, right? A baseline. Okay. And so in order to reset yourself, you do have to do a fast, right? The higher frequency range is the 144,000. Each individual node or energy point or chakra contains a certain number of frequency, a frequency band, right? And so, when you look at this, you're looking at the chart. Okay. So the sky is blue, which is a higher state of consciousness. You've got the indigo, you've got the orange, you got the green, you got the yellow, you got your red. It's all within your body, and it represents the frequency or the number of hertz that your body resonates, right? I'm telling you, everything is encoded and it's wonderfully made. And majority of people don't even know this. They really don't. And I mean, I'm talking to you about it, so you understand. So the last part I'm going to say, because I'm almost at 30 minutes, I'm going to go through this. The top is A, which is 963 hertz. E, which is the blue, is 852 hertz. I, which is 741 hertz, is blue. The green is 639 hertz, which is O. U is 528 hertz, which is the orange, and the yellow. And the orange is 417 hertz, which is Y. And the M is 396 hertz, which is at the very bottom. And when you add all of those up, it does come up to 144,000. The first 5 petals, which is the root, is 4. Sacral is 6. The solar is 10. The heart is 12. The throat is 16. 4 plus 6 plus 10 is 12 equals 48. The third eye is 2 petals. 48 times 2 is 96. 96 plus 48 is 144. Crown petals is 1,000. The chakra petals is 1,000. 1,000 times 144 is 144 hertz. And that's what it means to become faithful Christian or to go to heaven. That's truly what it means to be Christed. It's not about you being baptized. Baptism is a whole nother subject which ties into this, but you need to understand what the human body represents and what you have inside of you, right? So anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I did not want to come on here and be long-winded. I just wanted to show you physically that these nodal points are very important. All right. 15 minutes. 6 times 4 is 24 hours a day. It refills. All right. And this is your seed of life. And when you have an orgasm or ejaculate, you deplete this. Okay. So I'm telling you, a lot of people are running around here depleted. A lot of people are running around here dehydrated. All right. So hydration is a thing. Water intake is a thing. Fruits and vegetables is a thing. Consuming meat and 3D printed shit and crickets and bugs and all kind of stuff, that's not becoming a Christian, and that's not becoming Christed, and that's not walking in your divine sentient being and your divine sentient birthright. Majority of people are squandering away their sacred secretion because they don't know about the sacred secretion and the science thereof. That's why we're talking about it. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Remember what I always say, you be the change you want to see all around this earth dome, because it's up to you and I to make a positive change. And when I come back, we'll continue our discussion over what these nodal points represent and the symbolism behind it and the hidden meanings within the text. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. And remember, you know what? Stay positive, stay awake, stay aware, and I'll talk to you guys soon.